my name is Rachel and I'm here today to do my wrap up for the month of October. So October was a really fun month reading wise. I've read quite a few things. I'm going to jump straight into it because there's a lot of them. So the first book I read I was very excited for was Hecate, a Nightlight story by Lorena Alvarez. So Lorena Alvarez wrote Nightlights, which I absolutely adored. So I was so excited for this to come out and it did not disappoint. She does some of the most beautiful illustrations I've ever seen in my entire life. She might actually be my favourite illustrator in the world. So I love this. This was about little Sandy and she found her way to Hecate, which was like this little like other world, and it was all about her adventures there, and it was just so cute. I love these books. I will always buy these books the minute they come out because they are just adorable. Then the next book was also a new release and it was A Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. Me and this book share a birthday. We both came out on the 3rd of October, but saying that I came out on the 3rd of October is weird. But this did. And yeah, I read this right at the start of the month. Absolutely adored it. I'm really glad that Rainbow Rowell announced quite quickly within, I think I'd finished this and within like half a day I saw the announcement that there is going to be another book. I will insert the cover because there is actually a cover already. There is going to be a 3rd book to this, which I'm very happy about because this ended on such a cliffhanger that I didn't need. So yeah, I'm not really going to say too much about this because obviously it is a sequel, so I don't want to ruin it. But Carry On was about Simon and sort of being the chosen one and defeating the bad guy, and this is about the aftermath. This is about what comes after the hero saves the day, that kind of a thing. It's very good. I loved it. Loved Baz, he was a delight. Liked seeing Simon as well. Really enjoyed this, gave it 4 stars. Oh, I gave that one 4 stars as well. Then the next book I read on audiobook, and that was The Surface Breaks by Louise O'Neill. This is a feminist retelling of The Little Mermaid and I loved it. I've been slowly making my way through Louise O'Neill's books this year. I read Asking For It and Almost Love, and then obviously I've read The Surface Breaks. I absolutely adored it. I gave it 4 stars mainly because I wasn't sure about it at the beginning, but I still really liked it. I like the interpretation of the main girl's father in it, the like Little Mermaid character's father, and the sisters, and how it like reinterprets what they are in like the original tale. I loved the stuff with the Ursula bad guy type character and how that went down. I thought that was fantastic and I just absolutely adored the ending. I think it's so brilliant. It's like a character growth, character development type of book instead of making it a romance book where she has to get the prince and all that stuff. Like, it's just so good. Would recommend it. Really enjoyed it. And then the next book I read I was very excited for. It's also a graphic novel and it is Louis Undercover by Fanny Britt and Isabel Arsenal. So these are the 2 people behind Jane the Fox and Me, which is another story that I absolutely adored. And so I saw this in the Waterstones near me and was like, oh my god, I can't believe they have another book. I need to get that right now. This does not disappoint. I absolutely loved it. So this is about a little boy and his brother, and it kind of goes through their family dynamic with their mother and father, because the mother and father are divorced because the father has addiction issues, and we kind of see how both of them are struggling but through children's eyes. So like you can decipher the struggle that's going on and all that stuff, but they don't completely understand, and it's just a beautiful story. I really enjoyed it, and I absolutely love the illustration style in these books. It's very similar to Jane the Fox and Me, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. It's a lot longer than Jane the Fox and Me actually, but I liked that because it was just, yeah, it was so lovely. I absolutely adored it, so I would highly recommend this, especially if you like Jane the Fox and Me. This is a great one. So I gave that 4.5 stars, I think. Then I reread all of the Scott Pilgrim series because I was doing a live show collaboration thing with the Lawn Gnome, so I will link that live show down below if you want to watch it. But it was all about Scott Pilgrim, so I reread the series. This was amazing. This is a solid 4-star series for me. I absolutely love it. I think it's so well written, and yeah, I really enjoyed going back into it, so that was a great one. And then after I'd read the Scott Pilgrim books, I've been thinking about Brian Lee O'Malley a lot. I'd pre-ordered his new Snot Girl book and I was like, I really like Brian Lee O'Malley. but I haven't read his debut, so I decided to pick it up. This is Lost at Sea. This is also a graphic novel. I really love the way that the art is done in this and the way that the speech is written as well. I think it's really, really cool. And in this we follow Rayleigh, who thinks that her soul has been stolen by a cat, and they have to try and get her soul back from any cat that they find. And it's also about her relationships and friends and all of that sort of stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's like a nice little afternoon read. So yeah, read that one. The next book I read, I didn't actually give a rating for, but it is Tyranny, I Keep You Thin by Leslie Fairfield. So this book is about Leslie's struggle with an eating disorder. She had anorexia nervosa for quite a few years, and it's all about her struggle with that, her trying to overcome her eating disorder, but the ways that it pulls her back under, and part of it is to do with like this voice and this person that she sees called Tyranny, and it's all about her trying to overcome that. I didn't give it a rating because I don't think this is the best book ever in terms of like a reading experience. It's very good, it's a great insight into it, but it doesn't give you like a lot of information. However, I don't think it's meant to. I think this is someone's way of dealing with past trauma by writing and drawing about it. So I actually don't think this is a thing that's important to be read by others, and more an important thing for this author and illustrator to have made, if that makes sense. The illustrations in it are all really simple, like line drawings, no colour. It's a good read, it's a good insight, especially if you are into books about eating disorders, if that's sort of like that mental health kind of genre that you like. This might be right up your alley. The next book I read I was very excited about. So this is the only book that I finished for Victober, which is quite embarrassing. I started a lot of books, but as per my usual, I didn't finish them. So there's a huge pile of books that I started this month, but I did finish this one, and it is A Woman of No Importance by Oscar Wilde. It is one of the plays in here, and I absolutely adored it. I wasn't so sure of it because The Importance of Being Earnest is so funny and I enjoy it so much. And going into A Woman of No Importance, I wouldn't say it's as funny. However, I'd say it's more hard-hitting in terms of like the gender stuff, which is obviously I really enjoy. I talk about feminist nonfiction a lot. We know my deal. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. So I really, really liked A Woman of No Importance. I loved the relationship between the mother character and her son who met his dad, if that makes sense. I can't remember anyone's names, I'm shit with names, but if you've read this play you might understand who I mean. I definitely want to try and look up an adaptation of this or a play on YouTube or something like that to try and like see how it would be acted out, because I think that'd be really cool. If you have seen any adaptations of it that you thought were good, please leave them down below because that'd be really cool for me to look up. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. The next book I read I have extremely mixed feelings about. So it was Looking for Alaska by John Green. Now, number one, I knew I would have mixed feelings about it going in because John Green is, for me, a very divisive author. I have absolutely adored things that he's written, like The Fault in Our Stars and Turtles All the Way Down. I have been lukewarm towards things he's written, like Will Grayson with David Levithan, and I have absolutely hated books that he's written, Paper Towns. So going into this, I had no idea how I would feel about it. And then number two, I read this because I have been seeing someone whose favourite book is Looking for Alaska. So she kept being like, oh, you should read it, you love books, blah, 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 blah. I was like, fine, I'll read it. She's been reading Gone with the Wind on my recommendation, and that's a lot bigger book. So fair enough that I should read this little tiny one. And I don't know how I feel about it because there were things that I really liked and things that I really didn't like. So in terms of things I like that there's a lot of friendship in this book, and it went back to those kind of books that were coming out in the thousands that were like teen books. I mean, this is one of them. That's when it came out. That was really like a child completely removed from their parents and authority figures and stuff like that, and then just like letting them run wild with their friends. That was really fun. I really enjoyed the pranks going on in here and the sort of prank that was done at the end to commemorate stuff. I really liked that. And there is a pretty big twist in here that I didn't see coming. I think I saw it come in about 5 10 pages before it came. But in terms of like predicting it, I had absolutely no idea. So I thought that was really well done. Things that I didn't find well done were the sexualization of all women in this book. They're so heavily sexualized, and I know that this is told from a teen boy's perspective, so women would be sexualized in his opinion, but also I feel like it's to do teenage boys a disservice to think that they don't care about anything else about a woman except sex. Like, I don't actually think teenage boys are that ridiculous. So I didn't love that. There's also a scene in here that I feel like is supposed to be absolutely hilarious, where a girl tries to give our main character a blowjob and she doesn't know how to do it, and they have to go and ask someone else how to do it. And I feel like it was supposed to be hilarious, but I was reading it the whole time just thinking, there's no way that they wouldn't know what to do, either of them. Like, there's just absolutely no way. If you're a boy, I feel like it'd be pretty easy to figure out what you'd want them to do. Like, no, it didn't make sense, so I didn't find it funny. I just found it a bit ridiculous, and it completely took me out of the story because I was like, this just wouldn't happen. So I'm gonna go into a tiny bit of spoilers, so if you don't want to see that, just skip until I'm not holding this book anymore. So some of the stuff that I liked and didn't like is that after Alaska had died, I found the main character's grief really self-indulgent. It was all about himself. It was all about negating his own guilt by trying to figure out that she'd committed suicide and all this stuff. I just found it extremely self-indulgent and not what real grief feels like. It was just really weird, so I didn't enjoy that. However, I did enjoy that the other character, was he called the captain? The colonel, he's got a name like that. He picked up on the main character a lot for these kind of behaviours that he was exhibiting, and two of the quotes he had about that were, "It's like now you only care about the Alaska you made up, and all you care about is your fantasy." And I think those two quotes really sum up the main character, and I was glad that that was referenced and talked about, because if it hadn't have been, I'd have got more of a like paper towns using women to further male stories, manic pixie dream girl, that sort of a thing. But I think because it used it to be like, no, that's not what she's like, you've made this up, blah blah blah, I think it kind of escaped being too much like that trope. I'm not going to say it doesn't have that trope in there, because it definitely does, but I think it doesn't suffer completely from it. Overall, I gave this 3 stars. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't my favourite. It probably goes with the Will Grayson category of John Green books. I think the only John Green book I've not read now is An Abundance of Catherines, so we'll see if I read that one soon, who knows. The next book that I reread by audiobook, which I would kind of recommend, kind of not. It was nice for me because I know this story very, very well, and so getting to experience the story through another medium was just nice, because I love this story. I'll experience it in any medium. It is Call Me By Your Name by Andrea Asiman, and the audiobook is read by Armie Hammer, who plays Oliver. I really enjoyed it. However, I would say that the book is a better first read. Like, it was good for me on a reread because it was a new way to experience it, but I think you don't get as much of the writing style and as much of the like intensity as you do when you're reading it. So it's not quite as good on audiobook as it is in physical form, but you know, that's fine. I reread this because I'm so glad to have this in my hands. This beautiful babe has arrived. This came like the last day of October, which was like 2 days ago, so I haven't read it yet, but it's kind of all that I'm thinking about all the time. But yeah, not the point. I read Call Me By Your Name. It was fantastic. Obviously, I absolutely love this story. I love Elio and Oliver. I love this book. But I have made a full review of this book, so I will link that in the cards if you want to go and watch it. It is everything. I love this book so much. The next book I've read was Finding Home Volume 2, The Healer, which I was very happy about. So I've been following this book for quite a while. I found it on Tapas and was just following it, and then it got a Kickstarter and I bought the first one, and then I carried on following it on Tapas, and I was in Travelling Man the other week and found the second volume, which I didn't know was out yet. I bought it and was like, oh well, I'm already going to have read all this because I'm up to date on Tapas, but it'll be nice to read it in physical form, like have it in front of me. However, this is like 100 pages in front of Tapas, so it's kind of good and bad. It's good in that I got to read like a lot of it at once and it really excited me. However, it's also bad because since I finished it, everything that's come on Tapas I've already read, so there's nothing new at the minute, which is quite disappointing. But anyway, this is an independently published comic and it's about two boys who are traveling together, and it's extremely slow burn, like the slowest of slow burns. The burn is torturously slow. However, it's done really, really well and I really enjoy it, and this volume was just as good as volume 1. Absolutely loved it. There's a lot of like good representation in here. We've got different races, we've got different body types, we've got gays. We've also got a really good representation of PTSD in here. I think it's done really, really well. So yeah, absolutely love this and loved being able to read the next one. The illustrations are just so wonderful. I love them so much. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one if you're looking for a graphic novel, because it's cute and cute. Cute and cute. Apparently that's how you review things now. Next I read The Burning by Laura Bates, which I'm not going to talk about that much because I just uploaded a vlog where I read this book, basically. So most of my thoughts about this book are in there, but this is about a girl called, is she called Anna? Yeah. It's about a girl called Anna who moves to a new school. She has kind of no past and she's deleted all of her social media. She doesn't have a phone, she doesn't have anything. She goes to this new school and it's like, who is this mysterious girl? And her past kind of comes back to haunt her. It's a phenomenal book. I would really compare it to Louise O'Neill type books in terms of dealing with like feminist sexuality, rape culture, just abuse of women in general. Like it deals with that kind of stuff and it's just really, really well done. I really enjoyed it. I didn't rate it because I think the story and the characters are really, really powerful and I love that, but also the writing is a little bit clunky at the beginning. So yeah, I don't really know what I'd rate it, but it's fantastic. And also the cover is amazing. Can you see it with the little shiny, is it called gold leaf or something? I don't know, but it looks cute as fuck. So we read that one. The last book I read just makes me happy. On Halloween I was like, I want something Halloweeny to read, and so I reread Through the Woods by Emily Carroll, which is just an amazing graphic novel that I absolutely love. My favourite stories in here are My Friend Jonna and A Lady's Hands Are Cold, or A Lady's Cold Hands, I can't remember. This is the Cold Hands one though and I absolutely love it. So obviously reading this was a delight and I very much enjoyed it. This was my Halloweeny one, which I reread last Halloween as well, and I read for the first time the Halloween before that. So this has apparently become my Halloween tradition, which I'm not complaining about. It's great. And then I thought I would quickly mention some of the books that I have started reading because yeah, that's what I do, and so there's quite a lot of them. The first one is that I've continued with The Virgin Suicides this month and read about another 50 pages, and I've really been getting back into it and really, really enjoying it. So happy with that. Going to continue and hopefully finish that this month, which I'll be very happy with. The Virgin Suicides is about 5 girls called the Lisbon Sisters, and they kind of slowly commit suicide. That's not a spoiler, you find that out in the beginning, and it's all about the story of like why that happened and how the family and the like place, like villagey town thing that they're from, deal with it and all that sort of stuff. It is really amazing so far and the writing style is phenomenal. Then I started reading, you can't tell what that is, The Outsider by Stephen King, and I don't think that I'm going to continue with this. So I read 10 pages of this during the day that I was reading The Burning by Laura Bates because I wanted to like split up my reading a little bit. I'm just not feeling this. I really want to read a Stephen King, but this isn't the one I want. This feels more like a crime thriller over on his like Mr. Mercedes side of books, and I want a book that's more like The Shining, Misery, that side of his books. So I'm considering doing like a try a chapter tag of like just Stephen King books that I want to read and seeing which one I fancy, because I really do want to read one, but this isn't the one. I gave it a try and it's not the one. I will read it at some point, like I do really want to read it. I think the premise is fascinating, but I find crime thrillers like the hardest books for me to read because they're just not my genre. It's not my fave. I find them very tropey and predictable, and so I don't love it. But obviously I love his horror books. So yeah, that'll get read at some point. It's not going to get read this year, basically. We'll put it in a sad banished pile back there. I started reading The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy in the month of October. This was for Victober, which I did terrible at. I've read 56 pages of this and I'm really, really loving it. This is about a man who is really, really drunk, and he goes to this like little bar tent thing with his wife and his child, and he's like, they're so fucking annoying, I just want to sell them, I want to get rid of them. And the wife is like, stop making jokes about this, because at some point you're going to say this and we're going to be gone in the morning and you're going to sober up and you're going to be ashamed and gutted that we're gone. And he's like, no, I fucking won't, fucking sell them, blah blah blah. And then someone buys them and in the morning he wakes up and they're not there, and it's like, oh my god. That is the first chapter of this book, and it goes from there. And I'm really, really, really enjoying it so far. I think it's really, really cool. It's giving me a 100% Scarlet Letter vibe, which I'm quite enjoying. I really enjoyed the Scarlet Letter. So yeah, we're reading that one. We're enjoying. We'll see if I finish this in the month of November. Probably not. I have so many books to read in November. Then a book that I will finish in the month of November, because I have to finish it in the month of November, is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, which I started reading like 2 days before the end of the month, so I've not read that much. I've read 47 pages and I'm really enjoying this so far. This is narrated by a man, but it's about a woman who moves into the neighbourhood, very mysterious. She's got a little son with her, and there's kind of a lot of mystery around her past and around her views in general. That's what I've got to so far. And I know that there's a lot to do with her husband. I don't know if he's an ex-husband, I don't know if he's dead, I don't know what the situation is, but I know he has addiction problems and that they're not with him anymore. So yeah, I'm really enjoying how this is going, and obviously I'm definitely going to be finishing this because I'm going to a book club thing for it with my mum on the 14th, and then we're going seeing a play of it, which I'm very excited for. So I will definitely be finishing this before the 14th of November. Then I have another one that's probably going to go on the sad pile with The Outsider, unfortunately. It is Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which I read the first chapter of because again, Victober, and I wanted to read it. Unfortunately, I'm just not feeling it at the minute, but the first chapter was amazing, and so I definitely will read it at some point, just because it seemed very high level melodrama type of book, which I really enjoy. It's scandal fiction. It's about a woman called Lady Audley who moves in, and it's like, why does she behave so strange? What is her dark secret? Ooh. So I'm really excited for this one, but it's not one that I'm going to read at the minute. So this is going on the sad outsider pile, unfortunately. And then the last one, I'm really sad that I haven't read any more of because I was enjoying it so much, and it is Little Women, which I'm on page 65 of, and yeah, I'm absolutely adoring this one. My main issue with it though is that I'm not very good when I know spoilers for books. It kind of puts me off. And the thing that I'm enjoying about this book so much is a certain character. And that certain character is a character that I know a spoiler about what happens to. So it's really hard to read it and engage with it knowing what's going to happen anyway. So I don't know how I feel about this book. In general, I think it's not a problem with the book. It's the fact that I already know the spoiler from Joey and Friends. So yeah, we'll see how that ends up going and whether I enjoy this as much, which hopefully I will, because I'm really enjoying it so far. But I think there's just like a little bit of a little divide stopping me getting all the way there. So yeah, hopefully I'll enjoy this a lot more the more I get into it. They are all the books that I've been reading in October. I know that will freak a lot of people out because I read too many books at once, but I enjoy it. It's the way I read, so why not? Thank you very much for watching. If you have read any of these books and want to talk to me about them, please do in the comment box down below. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!